Hello, everyone, and happy Friday! Today is May the 14th, and this is the 45th edition of Book Fun Friday. Welcome. So, the young adult novel I'm going to be talking about today is titled Girl in the Blue Coat, and it's written by the author Monica Hesse. Now, I know that for those of you who've been following me, I know that I've mentioned several times the past year or so that I've been doing these book talks how much I love historical fiction. Well, this book is historical fiction, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm so excited to be talking to you about it today. The protagonist of Girl in the Blue Coat is a young woman who's 18 years old. Her name is Hanneke. And Hanneke is living in Amsterdam in the year 1943. Now, I'm sure you know your history well enough to know that in 1943, Amsterdam, the city, was occupied by the Nazis. Well, Hanneke has gotten a job with the man who owns the local funeral home, and she's working as his secretary. Or that's what she tells her parents she's doing, working as a secretary. What she's really doing is this. Her boss is a procurer of things. He's able to get things on the black market, things like coffee and chocolate and stockings and things that are commodities that folks want to buy that they can't buy easily in the stores anymore. So he has connections and he's able to get things for people. And he has hired Hanneke to be his runner. And Hanneke's actually gotten really good with dealing with these black market contacts who provide them with items that they then turn around and sell to their customers. Well, as the story opens, Hanneke has gone to the home of one of their customers, Mrs. Jansen, and Mrs. Jansen, when she arrives, is seemingly a little bit more anxious than normal. She calls Hanneke inside and has her go to the kitchen and take a seat, or she offers her a seat, and she says to Hanneke, I need you to find me something. I need you to find me something. And this is something that Hanneke hears all the time. Usually, though, that I need you to find me something is followed by, I need you to find me some special coffee. I need you to find me some sugar so I can make a cake for my husband's birthday. What she hears today, though, is this. Mrs. Jansen says to her, I need you to find a person. I need you to find a girl, a young Jewish girl that I had been hiding in my home who has disappeared. She's left with everything that she owned. She walked out of here with whatever clothes that she had on her back, including her blue coat. Everything is gone, and I need you to help find her. And Hanneke agrees to help her, and therein lies the rest of the story. So I'm going to read a passage like I always do. So this is the moment in the story where Mrs. Jansen is actually asking Hanneke for her help to locate this girl. And you can imagine how Hanneke's feeling right now. This is so out of the norm to be asked this kind of thing. I'm conflicted. Standing in the middle of the kitchen, I don't want her bribe of coffee, but I'm rooted to the spot. I shouldn't leave, not without knowing more of this story. If Mrs. Jansen tries to find someone else, she could be putting herself in danger, and me, too. Tell me what happened, I finally say. My husband's business partner, Mrs. Jansen begins, the words spilling out in a rush. My husband's business partner was a good man, Mr. Rootveld, David. He worked with Hendrik for 10 years. He had a wife, Rose. Oh, she was so shy. She had a lisp, and it made her self-conscious, but she could knit the most beautiful things. They had 2 daughters, Leah, who had just turned 12 and was the family pet, and the older daughter, 15, independent, always off with her friends, Miriam. Her throat catches on the last name, and she swallows before continuing. The Rootevelds were Jewish, not very observant, and in the beginning it seemed that would make a difference. It didn't, of course. David told Hendrik they would be fine. They knew a woman in the country who was going to take them in, but That fell through when the woman got too scared. And in July, after the big razzia, when so many Jews were taken, David came to Hendrik and said he and his family needed help going into hiding. And Hendrik brought them here? I asked. No, he didn't want to put me in danger. He brought them to the furniture shop. He built the Roodvelts a secret room behind a false wall in the wood shop. I didn't know. You didn't know. I can't imagine my own parents being able to keep such a secret from each other. I knew Hendrik was spending more time in the shop. I thought he was just working longer hours because David was no longer around to assist him. I thought the Roodvelts had gone to the safe house in the country. I didn't know that all of them were right there in the building, hiding. When did he tell you? He never told me. Last month, I was home alone when I heard knocking at my door. Frantic knocking. It was after curfew. I thought Hendrik had forgotten his key, but when I opened the door, there was this girl, this pale girl, wearing a blue coat. She had grown so much. I hadn't seen her in a few years, and I wouldn't have recognized her if she hadn't introduced herself. She told me my husband had been hiding them, but now she needed a new safe space. She said everyone was dead. Miriam Roodvelt, I said. Mrs. Jansen nods. She was shaking. She was so scared. She said the Nazis had come to the factory that night and gone straight to the wood shop. Someone had betrayed Hendrik, an employee or a customer. Hendrik wouldn't show them the hiding space. He pretended he had no idea what they were talking about. Because he wouldn't speak, the officers began threatening him, and David heard, and he tried to help, but the officers had guns. She gulps in a breath. When the shooting was done, Hendrik was dead, and David, and Rose, and Leah. Only Miriam managed to escape. How did Miriam escape? I asked. They shot everyone else. How would one young girl manage to escape from Nazis with guns? The bathroom. The shop has a restroom in the front. The Roodvelts could use it once the sales floor was closed. Miriam had just gone in to get ready for bed when the Nazis came, and she ran out the front door when she heard the gunshots to the closest, safest place she could think of, my house. That was 3 weeks ago. I was hiding her until last night. And what happened last night? I asked. Mrs. Jansen reaches into the pocket of her sweater and pulls out a folded slip of paper. I wrote everything down so I'd have the timeline exactly right for you, she says. She traces the first line with her index finger. She was here yesterday at noon because I went in to bring her some bread and a copy of the paper. She liked to read the news of the underground over and over again, memorizing even the classifieds. Are you sure it was noon? I asked. I just heard the clock strike and people outside had left for their lunch hours. Mrs. Jensen looks back down at the paper to find her place again. Oh, she was here at 4:15 because I went in to warn her that my errand boy was going to drop something off and she would need to be still. She was here at 5:30 because I asked her if she wanted some dinner, and she told me she had a headache and was going to lie down. Right after that, my neighbor asked me to come over. Her son hadn't been home, and she was scared for him. After I sat with her for an hour, he finally came up the street. His bicycle had lost a tire. He had walked it home. I went home then and called out to Miriam to ask if she was feeling better. She didn't answer. I assumed she'd fallen asleep. A while later, I opened the door to see if I could bring her anything, and she was gone, vanished. Her bed was empty, her coat was gone, her shoes were gone, she was gone. What time was it by then? Oh, it was around 10, after curfew, sometime between 5:30, when Miriam said she was going to lie down, and 10, she disappeared, and there is no explanation. And again, this is titled Girl in the Blue Coat, and it's written by Monica Hesse. Well, y'all, thank you as always. You know how much I appreciate you watching. Take care of yourself. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye.